What's up, everyone? This is a special episode of One Giant Leap for Geeks. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me is my co-host, DJ Melly Mel.
Hey!
We have a special guest on this week, or special guest, I guess I should say. And this is going to be part of our All the Horror! It sounded much better in my head before I said it out loud. Basically, what All the Horror is that all throughout the month of October, we are going to be collaborating with a bunch of other podcasts, and a bunch of other podcasts are going to be collaborating with us and a few others, and we are going to be trying to release an episode every day for the month of October. So you should have 31 days worth of us talking about either horror movies, books, games, anything that would be considered spooky or quote-unquote horrifying, I guess. It's going to be really fun. We are currently going to be doing this episode with Tricia and Siana from Two Girls on a Bench.
Hello, this is Tricia.
Hi, this is Siana.
We're two girls on a bench.
There we go. There we go. So before we get started, go ahead and explain, just tell a little bit about yourselves and just explain what your podcast is.
Yeah, so Two Girls on a Bench, we always refer to everything with our bench. So we write on the bench and we snack on the bench and we procrastinate on our bench, which is, we're a writing podcast with a lot of side benching. So,
So we're longtime writers and we aspire to finish things, but we get distracted. Although the podcast has proven to be something we've stuck with, which has been fun. And then meeting all of you guys, it's been awesome.
Awesome.
That's us in a nutshell.
See, it was like short and sweet. Anytime anybody asks me to explain what our podcast is, I'm like, well, we kind of talk about
I would say you haven't had this down packed yet.
No, well, see, I have the spiel that I say at the beginning of the episode. But when people interview me, and I'm doing air quotes right now because I'm not famous enough to be interviewed,
right? You're like when People Magazine interviewed me.
Right.
I said.
Right.
See,
I was like, well, thank you, Anderson Cooper, for asking that.
When I talk about our podcast, I have short, sweet, defined. This is what we are. This is where we are, and this is how you can find us.
Well, see, I'm always ambivalent about telling people oh yeah, we review stuff because we don't enough for me to feel because they're gonna be like, well, did you see this movie? No. Well, we talked about the trailer to it though. It's like that don't count. But anyway.
I think if we tried to really explain all the random things that happen on our show, it would take about an entire episode.
Yeah, because I noticed that you
to
completely
the point.
neglected the snacking and all that kind of stuff. You kind of left that one out, and I was like, oh, okay.
We snack on the bench.
We've got a snack here we can talk about in a bit.
Yeah, we do.
Ooh, is it like Halloween themed snacks?
It's kind of related to the movie, actually.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm afraid of what the fuck you're eating.
It's not a bowl of corn syrup blood, okay? I know that's what you think it is, but that's not what it is.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so the movie that we're going to be talking about today is Evil Dead 2. And now, I have never seen this movie before. I know, blasphemy. I know, I can hear the gasp. I'm sorry. I probably lost 10 geek points already. But DJ Melly Mel, I think
I had seen Army of Darkness, which is the third in the series.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But I hadn't really realized that there were two prior to it because it wasn't something that I sat down and watched. It was
sure. You just kind of caught it on TV or something.
My brother's a very big fan of Army of Darkness for whatever ungodly reason.
Ooh, shots
fired. And
because it's hilarious. Wait, what?
He liked it, so he made me watch it one day, and gotta love little brothers.
Okay, that's fair. I know about the Evil Dead movies and Army of Darkness through just like cultural osmosis. Like I've never sat down and watched them, but because other people talk about it, I'm like, yeah, no, sure, I'm familiar. I know who Bruce Campbell is, sure.
Right.
But yeah, this was my first watch through of this, and this is now, is it Tricia's or Shauna's favorite like movie?
I mean, I guess
Shauna's.
that's mine. I watched this movie first in high school and then came to college and was like saying all these lines from the movie to Tricia, and then I made her watch it.
Yeah, I'd never seen it before. I watched The Princess Bride over and over again in high school and Monty Python. So
Hey, that's commendable.
I know, because I have geek points there.
There you go. It's like you've never seen Army of Darkness. Like inconceivable. Like, yeah.
No, we went to the movie theater. I have no idea how old this is making us sound, but we went to the movie theater to see Army of Darkness when it came
on
out.
the premiere.
Sure.
Yeah, like we planned it.
Okay. So before I get, this was your first time seeing it, right?
Yes, the Evil Dead 2.
So
Oh wow, they're both first time.
Yeah, you're both like big old Evil Dead virgins.
I know.
I knew you were gonna say that.
But what's so funny though is I'm not a Sam Raimi virgin though. Like I've seen
Of
every
course
other
not.
Sam Raimi movie but the Evil Dead movies.
Well, but this was before he was Sam Raimi, where people knew who he was.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair because it was
Yeah.
funny. Okay, so real quick, how did you just give me like your overall opinion on the movie before we go any further?
Okay, I really had to stop myself from thinking in the movie. Because the opening credits played, or the opening sequence played, and I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? What kind of shit does he have me watching this week? And I'm like, no, stop. Come on, just watch it.
You gotta be open-minded.
Yeah, I tried. I really did. I remember thinking to myself as I'm watching this movie, shut up, sit down, watch it, and just watch the movie.
Sure.
The thought at the end of the movie was like, thank God it's over.
Oh, see, okay. I just overall, I can't say that I liked it.
I would say, going off of our rating scale that we used,
Sure.
I would just say meh.
Meh. Okay.
Meh.
Okay. See, I can't say that I liked it per se. I'm probably a meh. Like I was kind of indifferent. Like I'm glad that I saw it because now I can understand these references that people make to the movie and stuff like that. But if I would have gone the remainder of my life on this earth without seeing it, I think I would have been good. And that's
You would have made it. It would have been okay.
You know, I watched it, Tricia, I watched it by myself because we couldn't coordinate watching it together. And what I learned watching it alone was that it's not as fun alone. Like when you watch it with a bunch of people and you're maybe having cocktails and
Sure.
mocking and making fun of and laughing through it, it's
Sure.
a little more hilarious. So
Okay.
my memory of how funny it was, you know, what made it still work, I guess. I mean, as a film, I think it's supposed to be so bad it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely part of the point.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
He's all, nope.
I guess then. Well, I don't really. I guess need to ask if you ladies liked it or not. But okay.
No,
I think it's like cult.
It's like
It's
a
like cult
classic for
like
somebody.
Rocky Horror. Or,
Yeah, it's like a classic for, I guess for that time period.
But for this particular movie, for those who have no idea what we're talking about, Evil Dead is the original Evil Dead it's I believe it's Sam Raimi's first movie, right?
Yeah. Well, Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, and Robert Talbert was a producer. He's a producer now. He didn't have that title then, but they were just like, Bruce Campbell said there were 3 schmoes who filmed a short called Within the Woods on like a 3-day weekend with like a $1,600 budget.
Okay.
And like on Super 8. Do you know what that is?
Oh,
Just
yeah,
too
yeah,
young.
yeah. Right.
Yes,
She's like, and
yes.
they took Polaroids now for those that don't know.
They actually, if you go on YouTube, you can see some behind the scenes, and they do take Polaroids because they make a joke about this time there's film in the Polaroid camera on one of them. But so they were trying to do this short that they wanted to call Book of the Dead and get sponsors for it. So it's just like 3 guys over a 3-day weekend made this horror movie using all just crafts and shit they had to make it work.
Sure.
And so they tried to get sponsors by staging hundreds of screenings of this short, like even in the back of a grocery store, trying to get anybody to give them money. And they just like pinched and saved. They made like $8,000 and then decided to make the first Evil Dead with that low budget. But then when that came out, it was a hit because Stephen King wrote an article about it in Twilight Zone magazine, or mentioned it when he was getting interviewed. And he said it was the most ferociously original film of the year. And so Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, whatever, they got permission to put Stephen King's quote on all their marketing from then on. And that's what got them, noticed. You know what I mean? Because people are like, well, Stephen King thinks it's legit. It must be legit. So then it became this thing. And then they finally got the budget to make what they really wanted to make the first time, which was Evil Dead 2. So they were like asking Sam Raimi, can you do it again? Like, but better. And so they had a bigger budget. I'm not sure how much bigger, but they still use like a low budget.
Doesn't look like much.
A low budget approach.
Look, a tree comes to life at the end of this movie. They had to get some kind of money for it.
Well, I mean, Sam Raimi was on a raft in the beginning with Bruce Campbell pushing him across the swamp to get that opening shot where it looks like the supernatural shit's like going across the water. Wow. And like they didn't have money to get like fake windows and shit. So when they had to break a window, which they do often
it was a real window.
It was a real window. Someone at the same time as the camera went through, they would get a sledgehammer and hit the window. So they would really break the window. And then like he said they basically like taped the camera to Sam Raimi's hand to like make things happen with this little movie they were making. So anyways, I just thought that was interesting.
No, I will say one thing that I did take away from this, because I'm gonna kind of shit on this movie a little bit if you can't tell, but
yeah, it's okay.
but one of the things I did take away from this is I was very impressed with what they did accomplish with such little money. Mm-hmm. Because you can tell it's even with more of a budget than what they had from the first Evil Dead, you can tell that it's still a pretty low budget movie. But for what he was able to accomplish with that, I was like, wow, that's actually really impressive. Because they don't have cranes and like
nothing.
The rail cameras and stuff like that. So poor Bruce Campbell is pushing a fucking boat through the swamp and shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just want to say too, Sam Raimi's a fucking asshole. Like he is a horrible person. Because I remember because obviously, again, if anyone's listened to the show for more than like 30 seconds, they know that I fucking love Spider-Man. And so I was obsessed with the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. And I remember watching like the commentaries and the behind the scenes special features and stuff. And Tobey Maguire and the other actors would always talk about how Bruce Campbell would tell them that Sam Raimi liked to torture his actors. So anytime there was an opportunity to like have debris hit any of the characters in the face, it's always Sam Raimi off camera just throwing shit at them.
No, my God, and the thing I watched about Bruce Campbell, Bruce Campbell, he said that they did that. There's shots where they're standing there and Sam says action, and then like everyone around him just throws 2x4s at him. Yeah. Or Bruce Campbell broke it or twisted his ankle, and Sam apparently like kicked it a bunch of times to get a better reaction out of the scene, and they did it again.
Wow. Yeah,
I did read that, and I was like, that sounds a little rough.
80s.
I know, right?
Everything was okay.
Yeah.
There was no suing back then.
Apparently, one of the actresses lost all her eyelashes from the prosthetic face they put on her when she was, I think, the girlfriend. And Bruce Campbell's brother played the what's her name, Henrietta, the ghost version or whatever, the Evil Dead version where she's like all huge and gross. And it was this huge suit that was so hot. He was like, if you look at the movie, apparently you can see sweat dripping down his face because it was so hot and gross, and everybody was miserable. The corn syrup blood like made tons of mosquitoes come to the set, so they were just miserable.
Well, and it's like I don't even know if it's corn syrup at certain points. It just looks like straight up paint. It's like flying out of the walls. It's like
how much of that did Bruce...
bright, like a weird red that's clearly not blood. Yeah. It's like, like an orangey red, and you're like, what? Are they just like spraying a paint sprayer like behind
and
the
how much did Bruce actually... Yeah, like how much did he swallow, I wonder? It seems like he ate a lot of that, whatever it was made of.
One scene where she's got... The daughter's like closing the trap door
when the tow truck driver gets snatched under the cellar.
And she closes the thing, and it just liquid everywhere. You can tell that's not blood.
Yeah, it was so watered down.
You're like, that's just colored.
It was like we have like 8 Kool-Aid packets and like 9 gallons of water. We got to make this work, guys. But one of the things that I thought was funny about this watching it was. I did not. Okay, so seeing as how I hadn't seen the first Evil Dead, I did go to YouTube and watch kind of like a condensed version of it, just kind of explaining the story and stuff like that. And I've seen the Evil Dead remake. I have seen that, but I haven't seen the original Evil Dead movies. So watching this, I'm like, the whole time I'm like, am I watching the right movie? I'm like, I was so confused because I'm like, didn't this shit happen in the first movie? Like he beheads his girlfriend with the shovel.
It's essentially a remake of the first movie they tried to do.
And that's what they said, that this version is more of a comedy remake. Because the first one, I guess, is supposed to be more serious and this one's more comedic.
It's still pretty bad, but
But this one, knows that it's comedic. I mean, it's like, you can tell, especially Bruce Campbell is so freaking hilarious. Like, he's just like, I mean, so really quick, our snack that we have is champagne.
Okay.
Because in the beginning of the movie...
Oh my God, yes.
He's like, let's have some champagne. And it's just weird. You're like, what's up with the champagne? It's all like lecherous.
I know. It's like, are you gonna Bill Cosby this poor woman? Like, what's happening
it's
right
really bizarre. And then he drops the champagne when she gets sucked out the window.
Wait, what's with 80s movies and chicks dancing in their underwear?
Like on a t-shirt and underwear.
Yeah, like,
so sexy.
Is that not what girls did in the 80s? Is that not?
Not us girls. We weren't that old in the 80s.
You know what my first thought was when the chick was in there dancing in her underwear? Why the fuck is she wearing a Michigan State shirt?
Oh, see.
Well, they're from Michigan.
I found that out afterwards. And,
I'm from Lansing, actually.
Yeah, Raimi went to State.
Yeah. I was born in Michigan.
Oh, shit. Michigan in the house.
Woo.
No, there's nothing to brag about from...
I would say...
I hope you don't tell anybody else that.
Whatever.
Like, I'm originally from Michigan. They're like, where? Like, Detroit? No. That's the only place people know. When I tell them I'm from Michigan, they're like, oh, you're from Detroit? They know Detroit and Flint.
I swear to God, when I moved to Texas...
Yeah, I have family in both places, as well as Southfield and Saginaw.
Okay. Oh, that's my neck of the woods there.
Yeah, I just picked DJ Melly Mel up from Saginaw, actually.
They use
I moved
Saginaw in a Simon and Garfunkel song.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. That was the first thing I thought of.
Saginaw.
And we are not that old. That was like a vintage
I was going to say,
thing. Tricia's going to open the champagne right now. Let's see if we can get that sound effect.
Nice.
I'm not going to drop the bottle, though.
No window broke, though, so I'm disappointed. But go ahead.
Anyways, I was going to say, when I moved from Michigan to Texas, somebody was like, oh, you're from Michigan. Do you know Eminem? I swear to God. That was the first.
Eminem, Madonna, Sam Raimi, we all hang out all the time. Kid Rock, yeah, all of them, yep.
There's just like one bar where you guys all go.
Yeah, and we all just watch 8 Mile over and over. Right. We do rap battles together. It's awesome.
Rap versus rock.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Throw some country in there.
Oh, God. But, so, about the champagne. One of the very first things that cracked me up at the beginning of this, and I was like, okay, this has to be a comedy, was when he goes off and he does a little champagne shit. He goes and he starts listening to the tape of the professor, like, explaining the Necronomicon and this, that, and the other. He does the incantation, and the demon, like, bursts through the window. Now, he hears the glass break. And the girlfriend's like screaming bloody murder.
Yeah, and he's like, huh?
And then he's like, huh? And he comes back with the champagne still like, okay, let's party. And I'm like, then he drops it when he sees the windows busted and she's gone. And I was like, what did you think just happened? Like,
also, if someone says they're like, if something evil starts to come in and you're playing a tape of someone incanting it, turn off the fucking tape recorder.
Yeah,
Right?
there's a lot of logical.
There's a lot of
things in
connections
this
not
that I
being
was
made.
watching. Like, okay, for example, when when the girlfriend comes back from the dead, and
Why is she naked?
after he's beheaded her and all that. And she bites his hand. The whole time he's like slamming her against the wall and hitting her with books and stuff.
That was the best.
Why did he not just throw her head in the fire? He goes right next to the fireplace and then walks out
I'm sorry.
the cabin to go to the shed. And I was like, the first thing I would have did was try to set her on fire,
Right.
To see if
That's
that would have
too
been
easy.
enough to let her go.
It's too easy. It
But
was
then
better.
he puts her head in that weird, I don't know what that's called. I don't know.
The vice grip.
Yeah.
That thing that
The
like
vice.
squishes
Yeah,
it
the
together.
vice.
Yeah,
It's
the
a
vice
vice.
grip.
Yeah.
A vice. Look at Trisha's knows about tools. And
do.
it sounds strange. But anyway, yeah, and then she's like, hey, and then she turns back into her old self, just her head, and he's like, you're going down.
I'm sorry. I love the ballet she does with her head.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious when she's like spinning, but the head's still stationary and her body is still
That
going.
reminded me of some like Nightmare Before.
It did.
Christmas.
It felt,
I know, it did.
real Tim Burton-y. Or I guess
Really
Tim Burton
claymation.
stole that from Sam Raimi.
I
guess.
think he
be.
was inspired, yeah. But
Yeah.
that part's weird too, because her body's like all desiccated already, and you're like, he just buried her like 5 minutes
She
ago.
was wearing a nightgown
And
when
I
he
guess I
buried
chalk
her,
that
right?
up too because they're demonically possessed or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, see, well, that's a good explanation. I
Yeah.
didn't think of
There
that.
you
All I
go,
thought was,
Siana.
why is she already all decomposed? He just buried her like
I was
2
just
seconds
wondering
ago.
where her nightgown went the whole time. Why is she naked?
One of the things that bothered me though watching this is I was like, Sam Raimi, I feel like, yeah, he wanted to do the original movie again, but better, which I'm like, why even call it Evil Dead 2 if you're just going to make the damn movie over?
I don't
But
know why they did that.
If he wanted
Probably
to make
a
it
pop
better, why is he not explaining more? Because this goes into it, and it just assumes that you just love the first Evil Dead
Right.
and you know it top to bottom. Because they literally have the little exposition at the beginning where they're explaining what the Necronomicon is, and then that's it. There is no more story after that. They just go, and I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck is happening right now.
So part of the reason was because when they sold the first version, I think, they lost the rights to their own story. So when they remade it, they had to just do things in a
Wow.
different way slightly. I don't know. This is some low budget janky crap. Like, I don't know how that works or what was going on, but that's one thing I saw Bruce Campbell say, like,
You
that
lost
was
the rights to
confusing.
your own movie. Jesus Christ.
their own story. Yeah. Well, I don't think when you first sell a movie, and especially in the 80s, maybe you know quite what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
someone wants to buy our movie.
There weren't like blogs about how to do it or anything. You know what I mean? Like
Sure,
people
sure.
are just like, oh, I just got totally like swindled. Oh well, I'll just call the new movie too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because there was like little nods to the first movie throughout this. Like, for example, when they do the little condensed version of the first movie at the very beginning, all the way up until he gets possessed. Because I know that that's how the first Evil Dead ends, is he gets possessed and it just goes off. But when he tries to drive back over the bridge and it's all curled up into that creepy looking hand and shit, it's like they never showed the bridge collapse in the movie. So
Right.
you never know that the bridge is broken in the first place. But in the original Evil Dead, they do show the bridge breaks, and that's why they can't get back and this, that, and the other. So he knew.
Oh.
And another
I don't think
example,
I've seen
when
the
he
first
goes to the tool shed,
Evil Dead.
he knows that there's a chainsaw in there. But that's
Yeah,
because
he's like tool shed.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that's because of the first movie. They never
Okay.
established
Or
that
the-
in this. So
There's
he
a
just
chalk
goes in
outline.
there and he pulls back the curtain and it has like the outline of where the chainsaw should
Yeah.
See, that's not how I assumed that the bridge broke when the evil spirits were
wind
like
came.
taking over the forest and whatnot.
be. No.
Like
So did I.
that was something
But
that
in
I
the
figured
very-
it
In the
did.
very beginning, there's like a toy car going across
Yeah.
the bridge, which is so awesome. So you're right. I'm not sure about the bridge thing. Like I thought it was what Mel said. I thought it was the spirit broke the bridge.
Yeah.
Evil.
and then
French, I almost said.
the chainsaw thing, I thought that was just her dad. She said it was her dad's cabin, and the professor guy that did all this nonsense.
Okay.
I assumed that it was his cabin in the woods. You got a chainsaw because, of course, you'd have a chainsaw in the cabin in the woods.
I guess, but then again, they could have just as easily had an axe, which they also had an axe in the movie
They
as
did.
well. Which, the scene where he cuts up the boyfriend of the professor's daughter with the axe, he was much more effective with that axe than anything else that he used in that entire movie, because he fucked that dude up with that axe. Like,
Hey, but I'm sorry.
Why would you ever put that down? Like, if anything, I figured that the axe was enchanted with some special holy magic or some shit, because he just went ham on the guy, and the chainsaw wasn't as effective on anybody. The shotgun wasn't as effective, but the axe seemed to get the job done. I was like, okay, that guy never came back. Everybody that he shot and cut up throughout the movie kept coming back. The axe put that dude down, and he never showed up again.
I think that you're missing the point. Having a chainsaw on your hand as part of your arm is fucking awesome.
Okay, I'll give you that. That is pretty fucking sweet. I'll give you that.
Yeah, if he'd just done the axe, he'd be like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz or something.
Yeah.
True.
It's not menacing enough.
True.
Can we talk about, like, the crazy people that come along, like the archaeologist and that whole gang of people, which is, like, the best gang of people ever?
Okay, I never caught the tow truck driver's name, but I know that the girlfriend, her name was like Betty Joe or something like that.
It was
Bobby Joe.
Bobby Joe, yeah, because he kept screaming, Bobby Joe! Bobby Joe! And I was like, okay, where does this movie take place? Because, okay, I know it's off in the woods, but he was like some like southern backwoods
It was supposed to be in
inbred country
Tennessee.
shit.
For sure.
But no one else seemed to be like that country. Even his girlfriend wasn't as country as
Her
he
name
was.
was Bobby Joe.
True, but true.
Good
but,
point, Mel.
But she looks like she just learned how to spit.
Yeah,
for that
right.
role.
Tobacco.
Like, she's clearly, like, way too pretty. First of all, like, what? Like, how did that guy get her? And second of all, she's, like, trying to be tough and, like, spit tobacco. And then it just looks so weird. It's so not who she is, obviously.
Did anybody else get weirded out the fact that he's, like, 40 and she's, like,
I know,
20?
right?
Right.
Look, you're giving her more years than I did. I thought that chick was like 16. Like, I swear.
Well,
she was dressed like she just walked off the set of The Breakfast Club.
Right.
That's why it confused me.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, where is this taking place? Because he's wearing like overalls and shit, and she's like, you know, she looks like she was in a Devo band or something. I was just like, wait a minute, how did y'all even meet each other? I was like, how did this happen?
It's a small town. There's nobody there.
I guess so. She's that girl from the small town. See, she's Tricia. See, you're trying to get out of Michigan and go to Southern California. See, I see. So she's like, you know, you just gotta fake it till you make it. You dress the part, and eventually people will just believe, like, oh yeah, no, they're not from around here.
That's right.
I just love how bad the sound is, too. Every time, like, the archaeologist and the dumb blonde guy talk, it's like, is this, what's it called, AR?
Yeah,
or when you do the
ADR.
recording after? ADR?
Yeah.
It's like, what is going, it literally always sounds like they're throwing their voice or something. It's so bizarre. But I love the way that lady carries around that case that has, like, the page in it. Like, it always looks like she's carrying, like, a pizza or something. I don't know. I just, like, they're crazy. That whole group is just awesome.
What, okay, so, because, back to what Mel was saying, you were talking about how she was saying, like, that's her father's house or whatever. I was so confused on who owned what and who was related to who, because, okay, the archaeologist girl, she says that the guy whose voice on the tape and the woman that's buried in the basement, that is her mother and father.
Right.
That's their cabin.
Right.
Who in Bruce Campbell's group was also related to these people that they could even go to that cabin in the first place?
He stumbled upon it. And he...
Oh, okay, I must have missed that.
He knew that the people weren't going to be there.
I must have missed that. Oh, so they were squatting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're totally squatting.
Oh, so they deserve all the horrible shit that happened to them.
Like,
I don't feel bad for them
They
at all.
just show up at
All
this
of it.
cabin.
All of it.
And Bruce Campbell's like, oh, trust me, these people will not be here.
Because they're fucking dead.
And the girl...
Because they're in the basement.
The crazy girlfriend, she's like, well, how do you know that they're not? What if they show up? And, you know, what happens if the people that own this cabin show up? He's like, they're not going to show up. They're okay. It's okay.
Which, I want to see the prequel to Evil Dead, because I want to see how he found this fucking cabin. I stumbled upon it. You got to go through this old rickety-ass bridge.
I know.
And it's way
That's a far
out in the middle
way.
of fucking nowhere. And there's like a rape tree out there, which, okay. Yes.
Yeah, that's why the first one is bad.
Okay, we have
One
to
of
talk
the
about the
reasons.
rape tree. Okay.
Yes.
There is a tree in this movie that literally will like fucking rape you. Like it is the most disturbing thing because when I saw, like I said, I saw the remake of Evil Dead, and they do it in that movie too. Like the tree pretty much like puts the girl in some weird BDSM shit, and then it like puts vines all up her shit. And I was just like, oh, this is
the remake
terrible.
The one where they tried to remake it but actually scary?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I think I saw. I don't know. If
It's actually pretty good because a girl pretty much plays Bruce Campbell's part, and she gets the chainsaw arm and shit, and it's actually pretty sweet. It's gory and shit, just like this is, but not in a we had $8 and a coupon to like Halloween USA. Like,
coupon. I was reading that the Evil Dead remake in 2011 or 2013 or whatever. I think it was 2011. That is actually a sequel and a remake. So they I swear that's what it said. It was a sequel and a remake. The way that they're supposed to take Bruce Campbell's character and the chick in the remake.
Sure.
And they're supposed to make a movie that crosses their paths. And
really?
But it never made it into production. The furthest it made it was into a TV series.
Oh, yeah, because
and
they
it's
made
called,
the
Ash.
the show.
Ash versus Evil, I think.
Ash versus the Evil
I didn't
Dead
watch
or
that.
something like that.
Yeah, I never watched it either, but yeah.
They, I didn't know nothing about it. I doing research after I was watching the movie. But yeah, they're supposed to take this Maya chick from the remake and then Bruce Campbell's character and like interweave them together. That was their
Maybe
thought
I need
process.
to check out this show now. Probably not, but okay. This is my thing. I don't know if it was just how I watched the movie, because I watched it on my laptop, which was then hooked into my television. But the sound in this, not only just the ADR lines, but the sound in this is like all over the fucking place. Like there's some moments where they're talking so quiet to where it's like, yes, and then we have to get the Necronomicon book. And it's like, okay, what? And then there's other times where it's like, and it's like, what is happening right now?
They didn't like adjust it at all. They're just like same level the whole time.
They could only afford like 2 boom mics and like 1 wireless, so they had to switch between actors or something.
I watched it on my phone with my
on your phone.
Oh my god!
And I just had my phone and I was just watching it on my phone with my headphones, which they were my really good headphones that we got.
Thank you, Studio.
And I thought the sound quality was great for being
it was
80s
terrible
movie.
because we kept having to like turn it up and down and up and down.
Oh yeah, I
didn't
adjust the volume once, so
I
maybe
did
that
too.
was the headphones more than the movie.
Then
They corrected.
Studio made some good fucking headphones because it was terrible. Like we almost blew our speakers out at one point.
Oh damn!
There was a scene. Okay, right. There's a scene where it's right before the professor, his like weird ghost shows up in that bedroom, and like there's just all this screaming outside the house, and it's like, oh, and like Ash, he says something like, they're like, oh, what the hell was that? And he goes, he's very specific when he says this too. He says, it sounds like there's something trying to break into our world from another dimension. And I'm like, is that what that sounds like? I've always wondered what that would sound like. Thank you for that, Ash.
Yeah, you're like, we don't have time to like explain this.
Yeah.
Just give him a line where
Tell it all.
Yeah.
You have the one working mic.
Right, pretty much. Right.
You got to tell the people what's up.
One of the things that I did see that I was like, okay, I can see how a lot of other movies have kind of picked up in like, different techniques and like story elements from this. Basically, the whole scene where his hand gets possessed, it felt like that movie Idle Hands was totally a ripoff of that one scene. Because, I mean, like, everything that happened during that scene, I was like, they made a whole movie out of this in, like, the 90s called Idle Hands.
They
I was
did.
like, okay. Because
That was probably a ripoff.
oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
I'm sure. Because,
Is it a horror movie?
yeah.
It's like
Well,
a
it should
horror
be.
thriller.
How would it not be a horror movie?
It's got Devin Silva
Jeez.
in it.
Yeah, Devin Sawa, the kid
whatever.
from the first Final Destination. He plays Stan in the Stan music video too. Anyway, She said, "Is it a horror movie?" No, it's actually this. It's a porn parody, and like the kid just can't stop jerking off, so he has to cut his hand off to make it stop.
Oh no!
No,
oh my
but
God, it's so funny.
no,
The hand is like one of the best. I mean, that shit's so funny because like I literally was writing notes and I was like, this hand should have gotten an Oscar. Like it totally stills the scene.
It looks like
it's like making and it like talks, which is weird. It's like and you're like, why does the hand have like a voice? Like how did that happen? I mean, it's just, it flips him off. It has like a personality. It's just
it's a whole
amazing.
other character. It's like Mel just said. It's like the Thing from the Addams Family, like the
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
Maybe that's where they got it from.
well,
Maybe.
see, I don't know because I don't know if
Everybody's
what came out
stealing
first.
from each
Yeah.
other.
Addams Family, the TV show, was out in the 60s, though.
Okay, so maybe.
Yeah.
So
he
because
might-
it's all like, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, I loved how he like is talking shit to the hand though, because the one thing
Yeah.
about the movie that I did like was the feeling of like claustrophobia that he had because he like couldn't leave the cabin at first before the other characters show up. And I liked how they set it up to where it made him look like he was just fucking crazy because by the time they get there, it's like it's all this blood everywhere and dead. He's cut his own hand off and shit, and he's like shooting at him through the door, and they're like, "You crazy motherfucker!" Like I was like, okay, I like how they set this up because I legit thought he killed somebody. How that girl just barely got grazed is beyond me because she like knocks on the door,
yeah.
she's like, "Hello," and then just and I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, I
Why-
still think one of my favorite things, which is part of the whole low budget thing,
Sure.
is the chase scenes that go through the house and go in room after room after room that are clearly not part of the same house. Like they make it look like this
Oh,
long
it's like
ass
a 10-minute scene of him chasing through
Yeah.
that house, and that house is like so small
Yeah.
There's,
from
like,
the
two
outside.
rooms. I don't know.
Yeah.
And one of them
They
the
just
bathroom.
keep going and
Right.
going.
And
Yeah,
it keeps
no.
going. It's so funny.
It's just like stupid.
Yeah, it's like he goes through like a
On
window,
purpose.
then a door, then a wall,
Yeah.
then like a trap door, and it was like,
Yeah.
where is it? Is he just going in a big circle over and over
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
or what?
I think so.
I feel like they went to another bigger place and then they tried to
It's pretty
superimpose
funny.
the little 2-bedroom thing, like 2-room cabin on top of it or something.
I did enjoy. oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just, there's another thing that's from kind of this part of the movie where Ash is looking in the mirror and he's like, it's going to be okay
Oh,
or whatever.
yeah.
And then he talks back to
Pops
himself
out.
and he's like, it's not okay. And I was like, God, I feel like that every day when I look in the mirror. I was like, I really relate to that. It was so funny though.
You grab yourself by the collar and
Yeah.
slap yourself.
We just killed our girlfriend.
Like, it's not okay.
Right, right. He was like, "No, we're not." Yeah. He's like talking about how he killed his girlfriend, and everything's
Yeah.
just kind of going to shit. And like I said, that was one of the things that I did like about it was how they set that up to make him just seem like he had completely just lost it. Because honestly, if M. Night Shyamalan had made this shit, there would have been a twist at the end.
Yeah.
That there was no book or anything, and that dude just was
Well,
fucking
there was
crazy
a
as
twist.
hell.
There's kind of a twist at the end. I mean, he ends up in Monty Python land.
Right, he's like,
Spoiler alert.
your mother's a goat or some shit, and you're. No, I did like how they set that up though, because when they're looking through the pages that she brings, and she's talking about how the book had been lost since whatever 1300s, and they show that page, and that's him in the book.
Right, you can
Because
clearly
you
see
see
a
the chainsaw
chainsaw.
and the shotgun, and he's like, he came from the sky or whatever. And then when
Yeah,
he realizes it
future.
at the end, he's like, oh, it was me. And he's like, no!
That's awesome. That's how the other movies start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Army of Darkness. Yeah.
Now, did he have to name Army of Darkness? Because it's so weird. It's like Evil Dead, and then Evil Dead 2 is basically just Evil Dead 1 again, and then
Yeah.
Army of Darkness is 3, but it's not named after the anyone of the prior two.
Yeah, it's not Evil Dead 3. Yeah, I don't know why.
I'm like,
That's a
was
good
that? Did they
question.
lose the rights to Evil Dead 2 as well?
Maybe he just
Probably.
Maybe he just figured that
I don't
Evil
know.
Dead 3 was crap, and
Two.
Army of Darkness. That sounds much better.
Yeah. Honestly, because I'm curious of how. Like, do we have any context to how the Evil Dead 2 did? I mean, obviously good enough to make a third one, but
Yeah, no, it was like an instant cult classic. Like I don't know if it's because of Stephen King saying what he said about it, but they were instantly like it. and they made a couple other movies that like flopped, but they got money. They kept wanting them to go back to doing this character, Bruce Campbell's character of Ash.
Yeah, it's so funny. And I have to say, like, the first time I saw this when I was a teenager, I was like hanging out with my friends, and I think we found it on like cable or something. I mean, like we didn't like rent it or anything.
Back
Somehow,
when there were covered wagons and horses.
Back when we used to watch TV and it was plugged into the wall.
Watched it by lantern light.
It was black and white.
Yeah, but we were just like, what the hell is this movie? And we were laughing so hard the whole time. And then for years, I mean, we watched it over and over again after that point. And then it really became about like just quoting it, like swallow your soul and dead by dawn, dead by dawn, and all that stuff. Like, I mean, and that's the kind of thing I think that cult movies have, right? Where it's like you latch on to something, or even like Monty Python's a good example too, where you latch on to phrases from it and you just repeat them. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it definitely had that like formative effect on me.
I can definitely see where current directors have taken that kind of style and ran with it, because I was watching it and I'm like, this has got to be a Tarantino. Gotta be. I'm just like, gotta be.
No, because they would have said the N-word like 30 times before like the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, either that or motherfucker or something along them lines.
Yeah, somebody would have been an N-word and Sam Jackson would have been somewhere in the movie.
Somewhere.
He would have just shown up like being a badass.
Wasn't in,
oh my God, if Quentin
Dawn of the Dead, though.
Yeah, okay, maybe he's not in every single Tarantino movie, but most of them.
That's what I'm thinking of specifically.
She's all naming them.
When I saw that, like,
sure.
Dawn of the Dead.
But think about it. If Quentin Tarantino had a remade Evil Dead,
oh Lord,
Sam Jackson would have been the voice of the Hand.
Yes,
that would have been fucking awesome. He'd be like, "You can't kill me, motherfucker!"
That would have been so good. We should, pitch that. To somebody.
Please. If anyone is listening, hey, you ladies live in California, and you're right. We got to get this shit going. All right.
I know, right?
You live in California. We'll just run on over to his house and give him,
we
pitch
hang
him.
out
just knock on the door in the real
Spielberg and Sam Jackson. We call him Sam.
Right,
he comes and
right.
reads
SJ.
Go the fuck to sleep to my kids
No,
tonight.
you used to call him Zeus from like Die Hard 3 and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, totally. That was a character, right? It's like, no. In my heart, he will always be Zeus. Like, okay.
And then we like get him drunk and make him say snakes in a plane over and over again.
Oh my God. Yes. Get the director of Snakes on a Plane, Sam Jackson, remake Evil Dead. So then at some point as the Hand, he can be like, I'm tired of these motherfucking books in this motherfucking cabin. Like, oh God. It'll be glorious.
Well, I mean, Snakes on a Plane is a perfect example of bad, so bad it's funny, or so bad it's good. I mean, that's
and
I
you
feel
go
like
to it for that.
On
like
purpose.
You're like, I have to watch it because it's so stupid and awesome.
I want to hear him say motherfucking snakes on a motherfucking plane. Apparently, at like Comic-Con and stuff, Evil Dead is still a thing, and they've been harassing Bruce Campbell, like his fans and Raimi, and like to make the TV series.
Yeah,
and Bruce Campbell pushed it off for quite a while and was like, no, I don't want to go back and play Ash from Evil Dead anymore.
What exactly else is Bruce Campbell fucking doing that he can't go back and do this? Bubba Hotep?
I would say he did.
Right. Yeah. No, he was like he was a detective in some TV show randomly for a little while.
White Collar?
White Collar or something.
I don't know. He was on a show for a while playing a regular character.
It was Burn Notice.
Bro, thank you.
Burn Notice. I'm just going to name a bunch of shows that it's not.
Thank you. We can't remember.
Right. Well, just keep going down the list of just like, he was in silk stockings. Yeah,
well, it was
great.
like
it was just like this.
I just
but
named
not
like 20 cable shows until I hit one that's going to be right.
NCIS? No. Gilmore Girls. That's right. That's what it was. He owned the restaurant, right? That was Bruce Campbell. Oh my God, no. No, one of the things about this movie though that I did notice, like, I'm going to refer to them as Raimi-isms. There's a lot of Raimi-isms in this movie that he carries on to the rest of his movies. Like, all those, like, weird camera shit where it's, like, really fast and it's, like, jumping around all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
He does that in almost all of his movies. Like, even in the Spider-Man movies, there's, like, scenes. Okay, so do you remember in Spider-Man 2 where they wake up Dr. Octopus for the first time and like the arms are like killing everybody in the room.
Yeah.
That whole scene could have been in the Evil Dead movies and I would have totally not blinked. Because even so much so to the point where one of the doctors picks up a chainsaw and tries to cut the arm and shit like Ash, and it was like, okay.
He can't quit the chainsaw, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling
nobody
you.
can quit the chainsaw.
Like he was just blatantly just like, yeah. And that's one thing that me and Mel talked about this in the car on the way here to record this, and I was like, who saw this movie and say, get that man to direct Spider-Man? That's what I was like, who the fuck saw this and was like,
I think
yes.
there's a little distance between them.
I think his resume
True.
grew
But
in
to
a
be
different
fair, the
way.
only thing he had done really between that was Darkman and like A Simple Plan. But other than that, and neither one of those movies were like big successes or anything. So it was like, of anything that he's done up until Spider-Man, I was like, what made you think, yes, give him $150 million and let him go make, like, all right, I guess. Maybe because they were
he's
just like, hey,
he's
look at
fucking
what he did
scrappy.
with such a low budget, and if we just give
he's
him a
scrappy
good
as
story,
hell.
then he can make this work.
That's a
Yeah,
possibility.
he's scrappy, like pushing, pounding the pavement. I don't know. And then the fan base, again, I mean, the reason the show got made on, was it Stars or whatever?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't have the channel, which is why I haven't seen the Ash Evil Dead show or whatever. But I think it's on Netflix now. But the reason I heard that it was made was just because of the push from all the different Comic-Cons and the different.
Oh yeah.
Are there comics of Evil Dead? Did someone like make it into a comic also?
I think so.
It seems like. I think that's the thing. Anyways.
Well, I want to mention one more scene, and then I actually have a couple of questions because we do lists, on our podcast. Sure. And so I have some questions that I would love to pose to the group and see like what everyone thinks on them. But I cannot not mention the scene where Ash starts like hysterically laughing, and there's like the lamp is laughing with him. And
the movie becomes like My Little Toaster. Or...
yeah, and like the deer
like Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, it's like Pee Wee Herman's house, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what's happening right now? And it's like so funny and surreal. It doesn't even fit in the movie. You're just like, what's going on? Like everybody's just laughing with him. It turns out we're all hysterical. It's like, I love that part. I was just like, because it goes for a long time. It's not like just like him in the lamp laughing. It's like him in the whole room laughing.
Yeah, the house becomes alive pretty much, yeah. That was the one thing that legit scared the fucking shit out of me. Okay, two things. The rape tree, when it comes to life and starts like walking towards the cabin and breaks in, that scared the shit out of me. I was like, okay, there's something about this that is really disturbing. But the deer head coming to life and laughing, that legitimately had me creeped
creepy.
out.
Yeah, that was super creepy.
There are actual comics, by the way.
Yeah, there is a whole line of Evil Dead
there's
comics.
all kinds.
That shit look kind of
there are.
Like, I would actually read that.
You're like, I'm into it.
But you said that you there was lists?
Well, it's a short list, but I have to ask everybody. There's a scene where Bobby Joe is like spitting, and then suddenly like Henrietta's eye pops out, flies across the room
into the other chicken,
and Bobby Joe like swallows it. Yes. And then nobody ever mentions it. She seems like fine. I mean, like, it's just the weirdest thing, and like nobody says anything.
I don't know.
Looks
Did
like
she swallow it?
Gumball,
yes, no,
too.
it went directly into her mouth and she swallowed it.
Well, I knew it went in her mouth, but I didn't know if she swallowed it.
Because I kept saying when we were watching it, I was like, oh, she's going to turn into a demon now. She's going to be possessed.
Yes.
But then the boyfriend of the archaeologist gets possessed, and I was like, wait a minute, what? How did he get? I was like, wait, what just happened there?
Me?
Henrietta
Oh my
bit
god,
him.
that's my next question. How did the dumb... That's literally, how did the dumb blonde guy get possessed? That's exactly my question.
Henrietta bit him.
Did she bite him?
Yes. She bites him on the foot when he's like trying to stomp on the...
I thought that was the tow truck driver that she bit.
No, it was the blonde-headed guy.
But like, does it spread by biting?
I guess. Well,
like
yeah, because that's how his
kinda
hand
how Ash-
gets possessed.
Yeah, his hand.
Oh, and that's the other thing,
So
too.
it's like a zombie thing.
When did Ash get possessed again? Or is that because he was possessed earlier and it just came back because it got dark again?
Yeah.
Like, well, okay. Because they're running out into the forest to find Bobby Joe.
Right.
And then the thing is like coming towards him and he's like, Bobby Joe! And it's like, Bobby Joe! Bobby Joe! And it's like, okay. And it's like, it's gonna get the guy. And then he like knocks Bruce Campbell out and then he gets up and he's possessed. So I'm like, was that just like kind of a fake out where you thought that it was going to take the tow truck driver, but it went into Bruce Campbell instead?
I don't know. I kind of read it as it was something that he was trying to control. The possession was something he was trying to control.
Because once the daylight came, he was good.
Yeah, but when he went back out into the woods, he was vulnerable again.
Well, if that's the case, then they didn't play that up properly because he just came out of nowhere, and I was like,
maybe you didn't catch on properly.
Oh, shots fired. Well, okay, then I will make the argument of this. If that is
not
the case,
a good tow truck.
What happened to the demon that was charging at them when he kept screaming, Bobby Joe, Bobby Joe, Bobby Joe?
It was Bobby Joe, and it was sucked back into the trees.
No. God,
yeah.
I'm like, I want to pause so we can go back and watch that scene again because I'm like, she never comes back, does she?
Not in a physical form, but she's part of the trees.
You're giving this movie too much damn credit. They didn't think that hard into this shit. But okay, go ahead. Well, what else was on your list?
Well, there's just this amazing, it's not really a question, although maybe it is. There's this amazing scene where all four of them are looking around the room. Like it's like, and it's such a long scene. It's like, I mean, it feels really long. I don't know if you guys remember this scene, but like,
no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Where they're looking around.
Because that's right before he says, what the hell was that? And he's like, it sounds like some other dimension is breaking into our
world. Okay, yeah.
Right, yeah.
But it's just so,
the whole movie stops.
It's just so long.
Yeah, just for that scene. That's why I said Sam Raimi didn't want to make a movie. He just wanted to show off his camera tricks and special effects and shit.
Right.
Because there's hardly no story, but they stopped the movie for like 10 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
Just so he can do all these weird jump cuts and all this stuff. And it's like, what is happening right now?
It's like lamp laughing, everybody looking around. I mean, Tricia and I did a performance art piece in the 90s. And there was a point where we looked around the room at different points, and I was reminded of that, right?
Oh, that was so terrible.
Looking at different points.
Oh, man.
Right. No, we seriously.
No, we had a director, air quote, helping us, and it was like the worst direction ever.
While we were doing something, she's like, look at different points in the room. And we were like literally doing that scene. And I had like a flashback when I was like, oh my God, this is like what it looked like when we did that. It looked like fucking Evil Dead 2. And I was hilarious. Kind of horrified and kind of happy at the same time. I don't know.
It was so random too during that because he kept like focusing on, because it was almost like, because that's why I was like, okay, they have to be playing this shit to be funny. Because there was points where I was like, okay, maybe it's kind of like American Werewolf in London, where it's like it's a horror comedy, but there's parts that are funny, but parts that are supposed to be serious. But even the parts that were supposed to be serious, I'm like, I don't think he's taking this seriously. Because that scene goes on way longer than it needs to. So long to the point where he just starts like zooming in on random things. Because at first it's like he's zooming in on a window and the door and like them and like the deer head and all this other stuff. Then it was just like it zoomed in on like a beam on the ceiling and then like Bruce Campbell's ear and like the floor. And I was like,
right.
What are you even showing these things for? I'm like, is something going to jump out of like the beam in the ceiling? Like I thought the roof was going to collapse. But I was like, no. I just felt like we needed something else for that shot. So it was like, oh, let's zoom in on the broken plates in the kitchen. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. The scene where the hand first tries to, kill him, right? And it's the best. It's like starting to break plates over his head. That was the best physical comedy I have seen in a movie in a long time.
For sure.
Because he like flips himself over and then he's like hitting himself in the head with all these different objects and just his body language and his reactions. Like he really sold that shit. Like obviously it's not real, but just watching it, I was like, he's really selling this. Like he's going all out with this shit. So much so to the point where they get to the part where he's like dragging his own body with the hand. I was like, this actually looks really good.
Let me tell you, Mike, I think that you are really coming around to like this movie. Yeah. I mean, I think that you're
trying to shit on it,
your mind has changed.
It's like you said, it's so bad that it kind of comes back around full circle.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, there are things about it that I can appreciate. Like I said, I was kind of like just meh about it. Like I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I didn't like it. I didn't dislike it. I was just kind of like, I watched it. I had an experience, I guess. I could say that.
the whole time.
Watch it again with a bunch of friends.
Right, take some mushrooms
Make
or
it-
something.
Dude,
and then
I
watch
was
it
Yeah,
again.
make it like a drinking game.
Have some special brownies.
Yeah, like every
no.
time, Ash makes a funny face drink, I mean, you'll be drunk in like 2 seconds,
Oh yeah, every
you know,
time
and
then
just
it'll
have
be
a blast.
hilarious.
Cross-eyed in the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like take a shot because right after the sun comes out at the beginning and the demonic form
Yeah.
comes off, he's all like, and he's cross-eyed. And it's like,
It
what the
looks
hell?
like a really bad cum shot.
It was just like, what just happened right there? Like, all right. Like, I want to know in so many different times during that movie, like, what was Sam Raimi direction to him? He's like, okay, so a demon has just possessed you, and the sun comes out, and now the possession is over, and I need you to look like, something. Just go, action. He's like, I don't know what the fuck you want me to do here. And it's like, okay. He's like, that's great. We got it. Cut.
I think Bruce Campbell is just funny and an improv guy.
yeah.
I think. I don't know. I don't know his background, but like, it seems like a lot of stuff was just like made up like throughout the movie. You know what I mean? Like if you give Jim Carrey like freelance
Yes, I was
license
just going
to
to say
like
that.
go crazy.
He was
Yeah,
like Jim Carrey
totally.
before Jim Carrey. Not quite.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, not quite as animated, but close though. Close, really close.
The whole like groovy and is that in this one?
Yes,
Or
yes,
is that
yeah.
one?
That's right after he puts
Yeah,
the shotgun
like-
on his back and he gets a chainsaw.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's the best. You're like, wow, he put a chainsaw on his
full
arm.
of one-liners and moments like that.
I say, and the
where it's just
archaeologist didn't
him-
have any question about that. She's just like, okay, this is what we got to do. We got to make your
No.
hand a chainsaw.
You know what? No, fuck all the demonic possessions and all this other crazy shit that happens in the movie. The fact that this man cut his own arm off and just was still of the sound mind and body to just wrap it up and he's all good and goes the rest of the movie with one hand. He's like thrown halfway across the woods and shit at the very beginning. He's like drowning in a puddle of mud. All this crazy shit happens to him, and not once does it ever seem to really affect him. Like, yeah, he kind of like, oh, I'm hurt, but then he just jumps
He's like,
right back
moving
up, and
on.
it's just like, are you serious?
Even from the moment his girlfriend, when he has to kill his own girlfriend, but then he becomes possessed and gets normal again when the sun comes out. And so it's like, oh, if you didn't kill her, she could be normal right now with
I
you,
thought
like
the
fighting
exact
this.
same thing.
Right?
My
Like, if
girlfriend
you
even
hadn't
said
jumped
it when
to
we were watching it,
conclusions.
but I was like, to be fair, how would he have known that that's how that would have happened?
But I mean, maybe the best course of action is when someone you love becomes a demon, you should tie their ass up until the sun comes
Right,
up
exactly.
and see
Gee,
what
that
happens.
sounds
I'm just
See
saying.
if they come back to
Vaguely-
normal.
Familiar Quentin Tarantino movie. Just saying.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying.
We can just fix all the problems right now. Like day to night, like happens so fast that first day. It's
that
like
first day, it's like the sun's going down, and then all of a sudden the sun's coming up, and
it
then
comes
it goes
up
down.
and then it goes down again, and you're like, what? Like what just happened right now? Like,
Well, because they tried to
it's
condense the first movie into the first 5 minutes of this movie, and it's like
Yeah.
they literally get to the cabin, she gets possessed, he kills her, and she's buried all within like 2 minutes. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
wow, he
Yeah.
got over that
pretty
shit
fast.
quick.
I know, right?
It was like that escalated very
He's
quickly.
all-
Like they didn't even have like the obligatory sex scene before all the evil shit started
No.
happening.
I know.
Like,
It was just the dancing in the t-shirt. Like
Yeah,
that was it.
and
That
the
was all
underwear.
the like, titillation we got. I mean,
Well, it's
come
like
on.
how many girls has he brought up here in their little Michigan sweatshirts and panties, like doing this
I was
little
gonna say,
dance?
you know why
If she
died
was
like
wearing, I was gonna say, if she
Because-
was wearing blue and gold, she'd have been all right.
that's exactly. I was just gonna say that. I was like, that's why she died, right? It's 'cause she was
Oh,
wearing
man.
a Michigan State
Yep.
shirt.
It's like
Oh
the
my
red. It's like the
God.
red shirt.
I know, shots fired.
That's really good to know. Wow, this is like local. I wonder if they're.
Michigan hate.
Well, no, I mean, I wonder if they're like if the. Oh, you said
Yeah,
Sam
they
Raimi's
are.
from Michigan.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, that's why they did
And
that.
he
hangs out with
graduated
Eminem,
from
remember?
Sorry, I
state.
just
Yeah, yeah.
forgot.
So
Sorry.
that was
And Mel.
probably
Everybody's hanging out with Mel. I forgot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was probably his girlfriend's like state shirt or whatever. Because I'm sure they didn't have the money to like go out and buy one, so it was just like,
Maybe
I'll
that-
buy one.
Maybe that was his girlfriend.
Probably.
Because she's a great actress.
She's really
Let me
good.
tell you, like she brought it for sure.
One of the things that I
Really?
found fucking like out of nowhere as well where did the bone knife dagger thing come from?
Right?
Because when she stabs the tow truck driver with it, I was like, wait, when did they get this shit? Like, has this been in the house the whole time?
Possibly. The guy was an archaeologist, and he was,
they should
meddling in.
They should have had another plot, moment where he was like, and the knife came from
right, because like movie writing 101 is like you show something, and I'm saying this to like writers and shit, like I know, but
tell us what it is.
But you usually establish an object or some kind of MacGuffin at some point earlier in the movie, and then like, okay, this thing is going to come back up and be important later,
right?
Just like how they show the passage in the book of him being in the 1300s, and then by the end, it comes back around to that. So it's like, it's a callback to that thing. So when the dagger comes out, I'm like, they never even showed that, like, hanging up on the wall or, like, by the pages or anything.
Maybe it was in the bottom of
I'm with Mel. I think it had to do some...
right, like a fucking pizza box the whole time, yeah.
Seems like it had to do with the archaeologist, or what's he called? The old dude.
Sure.
Like maybe he collected
I will go with
or...
archaeologist. I don't know. A grave robber, I guess, would be probably a better way
loosely
to say it.
Archaeologist, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Illegal.
he fancied himself as like a older, more mature Indiana Jones, and it just didn't go the way he planned it to. Which his poor wife...
Indiana Jones was in 1984, right? The first Indiana Jones?
We just talked about another movie related to that. I have another question, like... The dumb blonde guy, I don't know his name. He's just dumb blonde guy to me. Fine. I mean, so he's the archaeology chick's boyfriend?
Yeah.
But is he also an archaeologist, which is impossible to believe because he's such a dumb guy. But he's just like, hey, did you find any? And it's so bizarre. I'm like, why is he literally just here to get possessed and killed? Because there's nothing about him that contributes to this story except that he
might
picks
as
her
well
up.
have blue and gold on.
No, that's actually no. That was a good point because I actually put that in my notes. That okay. It was so odd to me when they first, get off the plane and they meet each other. And he's like, oh, did you find it? And this, that, and the other. And she's like, yeah, I got the rest of the pages to the Necronomicon and yada, yada, yada. And she's like, oh, my father's at the cabin. And he's like, well, what do you think he's doing there with his research? And she's like, oh, I'm sure he's opened a portal to another dimension or gateway or something like that. And I'm like, y'all are real nonchalant about, multi-dimensional demons and all this other shit. Because usually in movies like this, you have to convince the characters. Usually her character would be like, oh, my father, he's, obsessed with this, that, and the other, and he's just crazy. And then they get there and they find out, oh, it is real. No, she totally bought into it the whole time. She was like...
Oh, she was part of it.
Yeah, she's like, no, he's trying to raise up Satan. No, it's totally fine.
Well, it explained in the beginning that the dad, the mom, and the daughter used to go on adventures looking for said book.
Sure.
So it could have been one of those things you teach your kids, hey, this is, the Holy Grail, and you gotta go find it. Okay, so you grow up looking for this crazy-ass book.
Sure, but I usually, that's what I'm just saying, usually, just off of my experiences in movies like this, usually by the time that child becomes an adult, they're like, oh, well, you used to tell me all this crazy stuff when I was a child, and I don't believe it now. Then they find out later, oh, it was real. He was right the whole time, and, I'm sorry I didn't believe you, Father. No, she was 26 and still was like, yeah, no, there's demons and other dimensions and shit, and he's trying to open up a portal to another gateway, and it's totally fine.
I mean...
She's like, we're going to go out in this cabin, and it's going to be like Stargate, and, Satan's going to come through, and it's going to be great. Yeah, it's good times.
The kid from Journey to the Mysterious Island, he believed it, so why not?
Yeah, true. I guess, oh, okay. One more thing that was really, really, really important to me. There is no lasting effect of anything that happens in this movie. Mm-hmm. For example, when he shoots the holes in the door, later there's no holes in the door. When he shoots,
continuity is crap.
Yeah, when he shoots the wall trying to kill the hand, and the gallons and gallons of blood come out. Now I know it all sucks back in, but he's bone dry.
I know.
That's
totally weird.
Later,
I don't get that.
when the
there
truck
are some
driver
problems.
gets eaten in the cellar and all the blood gushes out on her, bone dry.
Yeah.
And in that scene, the blood doesn't get sucked back down into the basement.
It just kind of
it just disappears, and then she passes out or whatever, and she's bone dry.
Yeah. I saw that, and I was like...
But then when Ash goes into the basement looking for the pages, it's blood down there, and, like, the pages are wet and shit. So I was like, wait a minute. So we're saying that the blood did happen, but she's not wet? I'm like, I'm confused. Like, how did this...
That feels like a budget thing, or it's like continuity, and so they're like, look, we can't keep these people covered in paint the whole movie.
Yeah.
So we're just going to take it back.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And then they can just look the same all the time, so we don't have to keep, like, trying to figure out, like, did they have blood on them or not? Like, we're shooting
How
this
did it
all out of
look?
order.
Where was the spatter?
Except poor Bruce Campbell, because... I swear
bloody
that
from
blood
the
on him
beginning.
never dried. Like, he was wet. His blood was wet throughout the entire movie because he just kind of had like a crown of red blood the whole movie, and it just never would dry. And I was just like, geez, man, like, I feel bad for you. I'm like, do you have an open head wound that just keeps leaking out? Because I'm like, none of this shit's drying on him.
Well, I mean, given everything you'd been through, it's possible.
Sure. And from scene to scene, like, his scratches kept, like, appearing and disappearing. Like, some scenes he'd have blood on his face, and then other scenes he wouldn't. And I was just like,
I noticed that too.
Okay. I guess, is there anything else that is of, like, super, we have to address this?
I think we've done it. I mean, we've hit all the, swallow your soul. Goodbye, Dawn. I mean, we've hit it all. We've hit it all,
Got it
Oh,
all
wait,
in.
wait. His hand does stab the poor archaeologist's daughter in the back with the dagger thing. And yet she still has the strength to finish reading the pages. I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, man.
She's a trooper. I mean, she really is.
Oh, yeah.
And she is like a fine actress. Like, you can tell she's the only one in this movie that's actually taking it seriously, I think. No, for real.
Oh, no.
She looks like she's trying to act because nobody else does.
Yeah.
I feel so bad
And
for
she
her,
is
too.
like, this is my big break.
Yep.
I'm going to get, like, a big movie
She's
after
like, I'm going to be the
this.
next Jamie Lee Curtis you just watched.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what happened to her. We should
She's
look
like,
it
I
up.
got my shorts on. I got my sweater around my neck. I'm ready. Feathered hair.
Oh, my God.
She was in.
Her feathered hair was amazing. Yeah.
No, I felt so bad
We
for her
strove
once
for that
Bruce Campbell
one
gets
point.
possessed again, or the possession comes back, whatever the hell happened. And he's like beating on the door, and she's trying to hold it shut, and she's just, ah! Ah! And then she like stops screaming for a second, and he hits it again. She's like, ah! I was like, oh, this poor girl.
Oh my God.
And like, I can just see Sam Raimi on the other side of the camera. Keeps more screams, keep screaming.
Yeah, yeah. And she's like, I should have stayed in Shakespearean summer stock.
Yeah, she's regretting a lot of things right about like the middle of this shooting for sure.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Oh man.
But I mean, again, I didn't hate it. I didn't necessarily like it either. But I am glad.
Mike, you
enjoyed it.
love this movie now.
I know.
You love this movie
I think
now.
you've changed your tune.
I think you're a
convinced.
convert.
It's funny. When we were doing the like retro review for The Dark Knight, and DJ Melly-Mel was explaining why she hated that movie so much. I actually liked The Dark Knight, but the more we talked about it, I was like, yeah, you're starting to turn me. So see, I'm weak-willed apparently. I'm like, if I get enough people to just keep
now
going,
it's
like,
just you got
it's good.
some
It's like,
strong
you know what,
girls
maybe I do
around
like
you.
this.
You just think that you
Fair
hate things
weather.
and you really like them, and then there are things that you think you like, and you're like, no, wait a minute. If I step back, this is really shit.
Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't take much for me because I'm pretty good at suspending my disbelief when I watch movies, but at the same time, it's just how my brain works. It's hard for me to enjoy stuff. Amber always tells me that I can't enjoy anything because I'm always picking it apart the whole time. So like, anytime I'm listening to a song,
we're like that.
or watching a movie, I'm like, yeah, this beat could have been better. Oh, I didn't like that line. Oh, you know, this, that, and the
You're
other.
comparing it to like your library of things that you've seen or whatever.
It sounds like Mel is very familiar with this idea.
Yes.
From that laugh.
Yes, because I didn't like the Eminem song for the Venom movie, and I just picked it apart. Oh, and apparently I found out today that she made that my ringtone for when she calls her. So now when I call her, it's just Venom. It's like, oh god,
Oh my god,
fucking awesome.
Good job, Mel.
Yeah. We knew you were our people. even if you are very young.
But yeah, so kids, if you haven't seen Evil Dead 2,
which you probably haven't.
Yeah, go watch it. I mean, look, like Tricia and Siana said, just turn it into a drinking game. Like I think you'll have more time, a better time with it inebriated than you will sober, for sure.
Please drink responsibly.
And watch it in a group.
Yeah.
Don't drink and watch it alone, and don't watch it alone, period.
Yeah.
Well, we weren't drinking, actually. It wasn't until junior year that drinking really started for Shauna and I. I mean, capital G for our geek. But I don't remember drinking actually literally when we watched this. Like,
no, I just thought it was funny.
As young people.
I think that makes us
younger
big
people
in some weird way.
We're huge
we were
geeks.
just like,
we were just cult classic.
Sober.
Yeah, sober.
Hey, don't feel bad.
Sober geeks.
I guarantee.
But we had a group.
I guarantee that when
Go
I
ahead.
tell my brother about Army of Darkness 1, I guess, if we're gonna
right.
That's how I'm gonna word that.
Army of Darkness / Evil Dead.
Right. When I tell him that his favorite movie is part of a series, he's gonna geek out, and I swear he'll be watching it before I hang up the phone.
He's going to be a better person for it too.
I don't know about that
right now.
He's gonna see that eyeball fly across the screen and just go right down that girl's throat.
I know. I know that there could be worse things in the world that I could have watched, but
Dark Knight.
Yeah,
Can't think of any right now.
You've expanded your horizons.
Yeah.
Like far beyond.
This is like a historical thing that you've done by adding this film to your genre, to your like library of films you've watched, because it just makes you grow as a film connoisseur.
Let me just tell you that this movie has like a 98% rating on Rotten
Holy
Tomatoes.
shit,
Because people
Drop mic.
freaking love this
Mike.
I feel like Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are just spamming Rotten Tomatoes to get that score up there. 'Cause, look, I'm sorry, you can love this all you want, but if you think this is an almost perfect movie, you are out of your fucking mind.
We never said it was
crazy as
perfect.
shit. Hey, I don't knock anyone for liking this movie, but if you can't see the obvious problems and flaws just off of our little continuity conversation, then yeah, you are ignoring a lot of shit.
I think we like it. We like it for its imperfections.
It's perfectly imperfect. I think, is the way I would look at it.
It's goofy and fun. Yeah,
Just like
it doesn't take itself seriously. Yeah.
Well,
Also like us.
I can't. Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm trying to think of a appropriate way to close this out, but I don't know. Maybe it should just be like the movie and just abruptly just end. No! right. Just scream no, and just cut it off right there.
Dead by dawn.
Right, it's just always like swallow this. Which, on that note, we're going to leave you guys, but I want to make sure, everybody out there in podcasting land, remembers, if you're not following us on Twitter, I don't know why the fuck you're not, cause that is the main way that we communicate to the people. So if you're not following us on Twitter, you need to follow us at Giant Leap, the number 4 Geeks. And you can also find Tricia and Shauna from Two Girls on a Bench on Twitter as well. And they are at the number 2. Don't just type out 2. You have to do the number 2 Girls on a Bench.
We have that in common.
I know, right?
That's
right.
cool.
We got the number things going on.
The numbers mixed in with
That's
the
right,
word.
man.
Bringing the word number back to hashtag.
Oh goodness. Yeah, because and also make sure that you follow at All the Horror on Twitter. That is the official page for all of this. And I'm pretty sure when these episodes start going up, they're going to be kind of like amalgamated and penned to that Twitter page for that day, because like I said, for the entire month of October, every single day you will get more of these episodes. Now obviously, because in the beginning I kind of noticed how I worded that, we're personally not going to put out 31 fucking episodes of this stuff, but there will be 31 episodes all together of a lot of different podcasts collaborating together, and it's going to be fun stuff.
And the Twitter account is actually at allthehorror18.
And also hashtag it.
These are just going to be bonus episodes. Like, you're still going to get your normal, weekly One Giant Leap for Your Goodness, but this was something special that we wanted to do for the month of October, because honestly, Halloween is my favorite holiday, like hands down.
It's actually my least favorite holiday, but I am looking super forward to our Halloween episode where we're going to wear costumes
Okay. Yes.
for our
yes.
Instagram. So,
Oh my God, we
yes.
should wear costumes.
I know,
I'm
right?
actually
We're going to
excited
copy you
about
Inspired
now.
us, Mal. That's like, we should wear costumes. Okay, so this is definitely like Tricia's favorite holiday, I think.
Yeah, I know. I love fucking costumes.
I mean, we just kind of want to dress
Well, I
up
don't-
all
so
the
aggressive.
time.
She's like, I fucking love costumes.
I know.
No, she loves
my
fucking
kids
costumes.
love
Yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to not love about a holiday where you walk around to people's houses and they just give you candy.
Well, my son is only 3.5, and I'm like, "What's your favorite holiday?" And he's like, "Trick or treat."
There you go.
And I'm
That's
like,
a smart kid.
yeah,
That's a smart
boy.
kid.
It was
Free
never,
candy.
I never got
Yeah,
to
for
eat
sure.
all the candy. So,
Good stuff, guys.
but whatever.
But yeah, again, so make sure that, like I said, you're following all of us on Twitter. Obviously, listen to our show, duh. We are on iTunes and all the other podcasting platforms. And Tricia and Shauna, tell the people where they can find your podcast.
We are everywhere. Well, we're on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and
Podbean.
everywhere. Podbean. So just search 2 girls, number 2 girls on a bench, and you'll find us. Instagram at 2 girls on a bench. Twitter the same. Facebook the same. Very consistent.
We're trying. Come
Listen.
join us.
Yes. And sometimes we have like fun writing prompts you can participate in.
Oh yeah, if you're a writer or just if you just feel like writing, you don't have to consider yourself a quote unquote writer. You know, come join us.
Consider yourself not a writer.
Awesome. All right, well, kids, thanks again for doing this with us, and we will see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.